Well, all right. Greetings, viewers, and thanks for joining me out in the shop today. 3.4 still sitting on the floor from that timing set redo. Don't forget to put your sticker on the engine that says when you did it. Some people like to put it on the car body. I like to put it on the engine so it stays with the engine in an instance like this. Started to show you how to put those 3 belts on at the end of that. I've got to leave all that off, the fan and those pulleys and such, until I get ready to put that in the Tacoma. I'll show you how to install the belts and properly adjust them. I got 3 new belts coming for this unit, but that's not what we're here to talk about. Valve covers. I'm going to do the valve covers today. This job is pretty much as easy to do in the car as it is on the floor. Of course, easier on the floor just for access. Give you some tips and pointers as I go. If this were installed in the vehicle, of course, these would be going to the firewall. That's not involved. That would as well. This would go to your air box. This would go to that little noise silencer box that hangs out right here. Of course, you'd have this off, going to your intake or your air intake box. This also circles around to your air intake box. That one goes over to your evap canister. That one will go to your brakes, brake booster. There's a couple other things I would have to show if this was in the car, like you'd have to undo the throttle cable, which is gone here in this instance. So anyway, I'm going to hit all the high points, set this up, show you real quick how to do the valve covers, the seals around the spark plugs, the upper intake part, and get this all back together. It's also pretty. Okay, well, I'm going to get started on this and try to stay out of your way as much as possible. Those 2 can stay attached and disconnect the connector between them. I need to take these off. Again, I start every job with a pick and a little pair of pliers. If I can find my little pair of pliers, here they are. They're nice to have. These plugs can be a pain to get off when you're got fat fingers and band-aids on and shit like that. I unplug all of these. Not in the middle of all this. Arg. I unplug the throttle position sensor, and then this is, I think, the measures temperature in the throttle body. I'm not sure what the hell that one's called. Somebody knows, and I should. Go ahead and undo that. Take your plug wires off. So anyway, take all those off. Then just sling them over here. When we get to the one on the other side, we'll pull all those off. They kind of only, again, will go one way if you leave them in their hook. I did want to say, though, these little hooks that go underneath this plastic part that are broke most of the time, hope you can see that. You pull up on this from the bottom. When they're clipped, you got to reach under this and pull that little tab to let them go. Everybody tries to just pry them off from the top, and that's what breaks them. Okay. Enough about that. Yeah, these off for your coils. I take the throttle body off. It's got a metal gasket that is good to reuse. It's some 12s here. If this is in the car, you don't have to take the throttle body off. But I don't like to disconnect those cooling lines that run underneath because they're kind of a bear to get to. And I don't want to have a leak like I did on my buddy's truck when we took them apart and started jacking with them. So anyway, again, that's my thoughts on that. Need a 14 to get this throttle or transmission kickdown cable off. If the throttle cable was on there, also 14, same procedure. Just loosen that up. I like to loosen it up just enough so it slides out so it don't come out of adjustment, because I'll assume it's been working for the last 140,000 miles correctly and that I don't need to modify that. So I'm going to lay that off to the side. I'm going to get over to the stuff on this side. I'll be over there to the, the stuff on that side. Take this vacuum line off. Twist them if they don't want to come off versus ripping them. I do see a couple old roddy lines like this PVC line. There's some tape around that one. I'll address those things later when it comes install in the vehicle time. Again, I like to do this without unhooking those water lines. These water lines right here. This one is vacuum, and it does not require a clamp. These two carry coolant and they require a clamp. It doesn't leak a whole lot, but they will leak a little down in there. Like I said, it's not a big deal, but I like to take them off. It's easy to take them off. This metal gasket is reusable on there as well. I'm going to clean the throttle body and stuff before I put it all back together. I can show you that part. So that's pretty much ready to move completely out of the way. I will take this vacuum line off over here from up top. These are the vacuum lines. These are the wires that would go to your evap canister. This is the vacuum lines that would run around here to your four-wheel drive. They will stay with the manifold. You can take them off, but I hate disturbing factory vacuum lines that work. So but anyway, that's where that'll go. All right, there's some tins on this side that have to be removed. This one here that holds the throttle cable bracket in place. You don't necessarily have to take that one off, but I usually do. This diagnostic box just has a tab on the back that's real easy to pull back and wiggle it up with your finger. That has to come loose. There's two ground straps over here. I'm gonna go ahead. It's just a 10. Two ground straps right underneath that diagnostic box. You don't kind of need to see that necessarily. There is, I mean, you could. I'm trying to hide it from you. There's a 12 over here that holds this lift bracket on, which is also the thing your your transmission kickdown cable rolls up on. Let's see, there are two 10 millimeters. All right, sorry, just me yapping about it, doesn't show it. That's the 10 I took out that's under this diagnostic box to release those grounds. That's the little tab I'm talking about that's actually easy to pull back and slide this off of its bracket here. You can leave that hooked up. There's a 12 that goes right there. That holds this kick down cable in place. You have to pop it out of that so you can get to the bolt, because that kind of holds it in place there. Those are the lines. Hope that all made perfect sense. There are two 10s underneath here, one here and one just behind it, back over here, out of camera, sorry. Those two have to come out. They hold the fuel return line, the metal part of the fuel return line. So got to get those real quick. Let's say here is one. And push all the wrong buttons and stop the filming. So you can see that unit is right back there. Up close and personal too. Here's your 12s that need to come out next. Got Slim up here guarding the bolt tray and the tools for me. He's warming up those valve cover gaskets so that they'll sit proper. Oh, he makes me laugh. Critters. Love my critters. Alright, so let's see if I can do this without dropping everything. 12 there. 12 there. 12 there. 12 there. Grab those two nuts off of there. Move my bolt tray over there. I love the magnetical bolt trays. There are a 12 here. And one right there. Grab those out. Throw them in my tray. If you watched the introduction to the new shop toy, I hope you enjoyed that. I have ripped that nasty interior out. Man, did that stink. That carpet's gone. The seats are gone. I ain't saying these SR5 seats out of a second gen 4runner are going in there, but they are. The list on the windshield is going crazy, but that's not what we're here to talk about. That'll be another installment on the new shop toy, what's happening with it. We're here to talk about this right now. I'm going to disconnect this PVC hose. I need a new one there anyway, so I'm just going to pop that off. Now, your top is ready to come off. Okay. I'm just wanting to fight me against this bracket right here. So, need it done anyway. I don't know if they've changed this valve covers or not. Over here, can you see the hidden ones? There's 12 down here. Socket for that, because my impact socket won't do it. Won't do it there. There's one back here. There's the 12 here. I got the one on the end, got the one in the middle. There's two. Right there. The vacuum line that goes to your fuel pressure regulator on the back here. So go ahead and undo that. Some things just take forever. Okay, twisted it around enough. Got that loose. There's a 10 back here in your wire harness plug. Not all these you'll be able to access with your impact in the car, but another reason why it's easier out here, and if it's easier out here, might as well do it. Now that lifts off just like it is. I'll clean the gasket crap off of that. Got some mud dauber nest in there. I'll get the vacuum and sweep up a little bit of the crud that's down in the bottom over here. You know what, I'm just going to pull this cover. This down here, this is getting lengthy, I bet. And pop this out so that I can get this air conditioning line out of the way. And then I'll undo this plug on the front of my cover again. And then I can lay all that crap up out of the way. Tell you why, I'm going to grab my vacuum cleaner and vacuum all the crap up out of this real quick. Okay, so vacuuming out, time well spent. Disconnecting this air conditioning wire and this wire off the front, also time well spent. Oswald's seen a ghost out front. I don't know if that's time well spent or what. There's a little clip back here you can pull to release this and move it up some out of your way. I'm going to go around here and take off these 8 bolts that hold the valve cover on real quick with my 10. Oh, y'all probably already knew that. Anyway, going in. Now, just lift that dude off. Somebody been in here at some point and decided to half-ass this job. Man, I'm so glad I tore this thing apart. wires that hold your plastic clips on. I am amazed that those are not rotted away. This is probably the first one I've ever seen that had those still good and intact. I don't know if that's a Midwest thing too or not. Got your fuel return line here. That's going to be in the way. It's already loose. We can move it out. There's a, oh, that's just a clamp. That's your fuel line. Now you wouldn't be able to move that real far out of the way if this were still attached to the vehicle. Pulley plug wires. Try to stay out of the way again. Alright, so fast forward through some bolt removal. Pop this baby off of here. Got to come straight up enough to clear the cams. And then you can kind of go back. This one is always tougher in the car as well. You can move some of this out of the way, but if you're careful going back in, you'll be alright. Okay, so you got these out on the hood of the cheap Suzuki ready to clean up. You want to bring your screwdriver out, pop all these things off. Once all those are off, I like to dish it down real good with some brake parts cleaner. And then take the wire brush. When you're done, they're nice and clean and ready to install. Make sure you clean out the groove where the gasket's going to go. Wipe them down if you feel like it. You don't want to make a mess like that on your workbench. That's why you do it on the hood of your cheap Suzuki. Okay, so you got all those nice and clean. Right here, you'll see that little tab right there. There's a little tab on that one right there. And there's a little tab on that one right there. I'm just going to do one of these, even though you want to do all of them. Smaller screwdriver blade. You just reach under that and pry it up. It's just that simple. So take your hammer and your little thin blade of the screwdriver. Drive it down in between it. Pry it back upon it. Pop that dude out of there. I find that 1.25 inch socket seems to be the right formula for getting these back in. Of course, this is a bouncy work surface. A solid work surface is better, but you definitely want to drive them in with something that goes around the outside, around the outside, around the outside, and then you don't have to worry about that being deformed. Oswald is playing with the podium or the tripod. Take something like your screwdriver. Your hammer will even do to get it most of the way. Take that screwdriver, tap it down, be careful not to slip off and cut your rubber piece there. Alright, repeat 5 additional times. Okay, once you get all those changed, of course you don't want to forget to put your gasket on. Gasket has a real nice channel, fits in there very snugly. Just run it around with your finger, force it down in there. It fits very well. So you don't have to worry about it falling out. No sealer needed, in case you watched Sealer Guy on the last video. But I don't know if that's what he used. I still got to clean that manifold and stuff up. But yeah, just press your gasket into place. Nice to let them set out a little bit first. When you're hammering your new seals in, don't break your PCV valve off like I did. Now I got to go get another one, but that's okay. Needed it anyway. Okay, so ready to go back on and go back together. This one, like I say, is a little bit tougher because of all the stuff, but if you watch what you're doing, bring it down nice and slow, move all your wires, get your head out of the way. Alright, now you're about ready to drop it down in. I like to run my fingers all the way around that gasket. Make sure it's still sitting just like I want it to. And of course it is. You can put some grease on them new spark plug seals if you feel like it's necessary. Move that fuel line up out of your way. There you go. That one is on. You would start these down. There is a torque spec for them. Again, I am sure if you want to use torque specs, that is perfectly fine. With my gun set to its lowest setting, I just bring these all down a little bit. This is my torque wrench for this particular project. I like the small ratchet. I'll bring it down with just lightly, so there's not a lot of torque. You can't apply an extra lot of torque to it. You gotta go around these more than once. You kind of got the feel as it smushes. You're smushing a rubber gasket around a bolt and a rubber gasket into the valve cover head interface. You can move all this stuff up out of your way. Get that extra little clip there out of your way. You can work underneath this part. Hard. Watch out for your transmission dipstick. And reach under right before you drop it. Go all the way around and make sure that gasket didn't come loose. 99% of the time it doesn't. But man, if it ever did, you'll be wasting a lot of time and effort. Put your AC wire back in its place. Plug back in your cam trigger wire. Put this back up into place. Okay, so once your intake manifold's clean, you got both your valve covers back on the way you want them to be. Take your plug wires and put them back in. Put new ones in if you're putting new. Clip that one back in its place, and that one back in its place, and that one back in its place if you're fortunate enough to still have your clips. I like to do my coils now. Clip them all back on. Okay, these plug wires, of course, come around. They will only go in the spots where they'll go. Also, I'm pushing them on there real well and then sliding the cap down that holds them. That one I didn't see there. If you don't get them on there right, yeah, then they're not on there right. So I hope you could see some of that. I still have to get a PVC valve for there that I don't have right now. Grab one of your gaskets. Put it on. Put your bottom piece on. Arg. Oh. This goes like this. Back on, obvious, just a reversal. Don't forget to plug your vacuum line in. I like to do it right away. I'll grab my fasteners here. Take your 12. Bring them down snugly. Bring down these. And this. And then your middle one. Big impact on that one. Put your wire harness back in the back over here with your 10. Hope you're finding these informative out on the vehicle or out of the vehicle. It's easier definitely for me to video it and walk around and explain it, so I like it. Grab your other gasket. Set it on. We got our line that goes out to our box here. Nothing else goes in. We've tightened up all of these. There with your 12. Bring your next piece back up, your top half. And Get that out of your way. Remember, it's a tight fit right there against your bracket. There we go. Our medium long, don't mix them up with your throttle body bottom bolts. Nut down. Bring them all nice and a little bit. Alright, and then I go around and, you know, a couple ugga-duggas with your 3/8 drive. You feel free to look up torque specs. Alright, now you got over here a 12 that went in here to hold your bracket on. Don't forget that. You got to put your fuel line behind that bracket and put your 2 10s in that hold that. Remember when we took those off? Got to put those back, and anyway, those go back on. You'll run this back up and clip your thing. You'll put your vacuum line back on here for your, it's actually like a PVC breather port off your other valve cover, comes back and feeds your intake tube. That's your 4-wheel drive stuff, doesn't apply today. You'd hook that back up to your master cylinder. Oops. You gotta put this little bracket back on for your throttle cable that you didn't really need to take off, but I like to have it off of there because to me it's kind of in the way. Can't put those back on until you put your throttle body back on. You put this back on your little clippy here. You got your last 10. It goes on to those grounds that are right underneath of there. Now you come back around and put your throttle body base gasket back on, then slide your throttle body on, hook this up, hook these up. Don't forget to hook this vacuum line up on the bottom. You can put that on first. That catches on that clip coming off, but not going on. But you can put that on first on the bottom. I'm not bolting this on because I want to clean that first, but that's it. That wraps it up. You put that, of course, back, that back. These go back to your air box. Bring your kick down cable back and hook it on. Just reverse that step. So you get all that. Let me edit this down. Hope it makes sense. Hope you enjoyed some techie stuff. Yeah, it's not too bad. I enjoy doing this kind of work. Some people just have a knack. I told my buddy once it's just wrenches and parts. He said, yeah, tell Eric Clapton it's just guitars and rhythm, you know. So I kind of see what he's talking about. But you can do this kind of stuff. That's the whole purpose of my show. I appreciate you tuning in. Oswald's been real good today. He's going to get some treats. That's not what we're here to talk about. I appreciate you. Like and subscribe and check links, please. I would really appreciate it. It is free, easy, and painless. Most of all, appreciate you joining me. Hope you picked up a little bit of information here. Have a super great day.